What's going on, movie fans? My name is Michael Weer. I love talking about movies, and today we're going to talk about the newest A24 released film starring Nicolas Cage, Dream Scenario.
A scenario or scenario if you're a fucking asshole?
Dream Scenario is a movie about a guy who visits people in their dreams, unbeknownst to himself. He has no idea that he's doing it. It starts off normal enough. He's just kind of there in people's dreams. It's a weird phenomenon, but then things turn sinister. With that said, though, I thought, hey, you know what? I'll wear the Nightmare on Elm Street shirt while I do the review for this movie, and it's a shirt that I just picked up, and I really like the design. You know, Freddy's slashing something. It's just cool. Then it occurred to me I haven't done a Nightmare on Elm Street review series yet, and I want to get to that. I did the Friday the 13th, and then last year I did the Saw reviews, and I want to do at least 2 big review series next year. Is that something you guys would like to see? Do you want to see a Nightmare on Elm Street review series? If so, let me know in the comment section down below, because I'd love to do it. I haven't watched all of them, so it'd be like a first watch for me for some of them. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to see that. With all that said, though, let's do the review for Dream Scenario.
You know, fame can come with some less desirable side effects. You should be prepared for that.
Maybe we should cool this thing off.
What? What do you mean?
It's embarrassing.
Which part?
I guess I'll see you in my dreams.
Yeah. So of course not.
And so, guys, Dream Scenario is directed by Christopher Burgley, and of course, like I said earlier, it stars Nicolas Cage. Look, anytime you put Nicolas Cage in a movie, I'm going to be there on opening weekend. It's just how it's going to be. But I was excited for this movie because I saw the trailers and it looked intriguing. Now, for the synopsis of this movie, you have Nicolas Cage, who plays Paul, who's a professor at a college, and unbeknownst to him, at night, when he goes to sleep, he visits people in their dreams. And some of these people have never met him before. It just turns out that somebody that he did know gets visited in that dream by him. And they're like, hey, this is weird. Do you mind if I do a story on this because I'm a writer? And he was like, okay, yeah, you could do a story on it. Well, when she makes the story public, people start putting 2 and 2 together, and they're like, yeah, that's the guy we've been seeing in our dreams. So it's like this weird phenomenon that's happening all across the world where people are linking up to this one guy that they've never seen before. I like that concept because on the one hand, it's like, okay, maybe all these people are having that dream, but then they even touch on it in the movie where they're like, is it adjacent to like the Mandela effect where you think something's happening or now everybody else has experienced this craze, so now you're experiencing this craze? And that's an interesting concept in and of itself. But as the movie is just straightforward, he's visiting people in their dreams. He has no recollection of it. They remember it as a dream, so it's kind of fuzzy. But he's just being passive. He's just there kind of being an onlooker. He's just looking. Nothing's really going on in the movie. However, toward the middle of this movie, something happens in his life that's a little bit crazy. And because of that, now it's almost morphed in the dream world as well. So something kind of crazy happened in his world. Now he starts being crazier in people's dreams. And it leads to a very sinister twist to this movie, which is one of the things that hooked me right off the bat, because now he's visiting people in their dreams and he's murdering them in gruesome ways. And so these people are getting violently murdered by Paul in their dreams, and then they wake up and now they're kind of scared of him. Now they're afraid of him and they hate him, and he starts getting death threats and they start messing with his car, and people that were once friends or people that had become his friend because of this weird phenomenon, now they're pushing away from him because they're having these horrible dreams about him killing them. And that's pretty much the synopsis I can give you for this movie. If that sounds like an interesting concept of a movie, it's in theaters right now and you should definitely go check it out. I had a great time with this movie, so we're just going to get into the positives right now. The first positive I have for this movie has to be Nicolas Cage and his acting abilities. I mean, you guys know that I'm a huge Nicolas Cage fan. If you're finding me for the first time, well, guess what? I'm a huge Nicolas Cage fan. Seriously, I love Nicolas Cage. I love everything he's ever done. I do understand that a lot of his movies have bombed in the past, whether at the movie theater or they're straight to DVD and they're just sort of unwatchable movies. But if you watch his performance in them, he always gives the Nicolas Cage performance that you're looking for. I've never seen a phoned-in Nicolas Cage performance, even in a bad movie. And if you've got one, well, let me know what it is, because I have yet to find it. With that said, though, I love his acting in this movie. He's very believable as Paul, this professor who really has nothing going on in his life, and he's very emotionally upset in his life that he sort of hasn't ever done anything other than be a professor. And a professor is a big deal. He's, got tenure at his school, but he's got this book that he really wants to write and he's never written it. And he's got all these things in his life that he wanted to do that he never accomplished. He ended up marrying a girl who had a beautiful house. So he lives in this really nice house, but it turns out that it's her family's house, is the house she grew up in. So you can kind of tell that like whatever dreams he had, they kind of got put on hold. And while he likes what he does as a professor, people in his class at the beginning of the movie, before this phenomenon really begins, they don't really care about what's going on. They're talking in class, and he's just, again, an average nobody of a person. And then when this thing happens, you get to see that star power go to his head. It's like when someone goes viral on social media and you see that star power go to their head, and all of a sudden they're doing crazy things, or like when an actor blows up and all of a sudden they're doing cocaine. Things get crazy when fame goes to someone's head. And so you kind of see what that is like for him in this weird phenomenon. While it's not a social media viral thing, although it is social media adjacent, it is this viral sensation where he is at the center of it, and so he goes on talk shows and interviews, and he's talking about book deals, and even advertisement deal with Sprite, which is a pretty funny moment of the movie. The point is, he goes on this journey, and you believe him the entire way. So while I said I believe Nicolas Cage never phones it in, always does a great performance, in this movie, I believe every different aspect of this character's life, Nicolas Cage accurately portrays, whether it's the beginning where he's a nobody, and then where fame starts to go to his head, and then where he just wants his normal life back toward the end of this movie with his wife, with his girls, and it's something that he can't get back toward the end of the movie. And I just, you feel that emotion the entire time. I went and saw this movie with my wife, and she loved this movie. She has a lot to say on it, and just our schedules have not lined up in the last couple of days in order to do a review together. Otherwise, she would be giving her opinions of this. I'm going to try to get her to do the top 10 movies of the year list with me toward the end of the year so she can give you guys her thoughts on it. This movie, Nicolas Cage really carries this movie on his back. He carries this weird concept on his back. Which leads me to my other positive of this movie, and that it is a weird concept, but it is a new and unique concept. And okay, I understand I'm wearing a Nightmare on Elm Street shirt and I'm talking about this is a new concept, but yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy visits you in your dreams and he can kill you in your dreams. Okay, that's all, like, you die in the dream, you die for real. Like, that's all Freddy Krueger nonsense. Like, maybe I shouldn't have worn this shirt talking about this is a unique concept, but it really is, because he's not actually killing people in their dreams, but they fear him irrationally because he's showing up in their dreams. And like I said earlier, it's like that adjacent Mandela effect where people are kind of thinking they saw him in their dreams, or maybe people are thinking he's turning sinister in their dreams because other people have reported that. And so it's this new concept, new unique idea, and I think the A24 studio is good for finding filmmakers that are making those kind of movies and putting them out, and that's why I've really started to like A24 films, because they are these new concepts, these new ideas. People talk about, oh, well, there's all these sequels and all these new movies that are just sequel, and that's very true. Several of the movies that I really loved this year are like Part 7, Mission Impossible, or John Wick Chapter 4, and just these constant sequels for these great franchises. But then you get a movie like Dream Scenario, and it's this new, unique idea, and more people should go see that, because if you want these new, unique ideas that go to theaters, those are the movies you have to support. And so I wanted to see this anyway because it was a unique idea, had Nicolas Cage in it, but I'm so glad I experienced it in a theater. I'm so glad I experienced it with my best friend, because we were able to watch this movie and just enjoy it together. All right, guys, so before I get into my negatives of this movie, got to have a little bit of Pure Leaf tea. Pure Leaf tea. They don't sponsor me, but they should. Okay, so getting into the negatives of this movie, I really only have one, and this is one that, I've been talking about this movie back and forth for the last couple of days with my wife, and she didn't have this negative with the movie. And so I saw her side of things, but every time I think about this movie, that's the only part that bothers me. So in the first 2 acts of this movie, you've got this new unique idea. He's visiting people in their dreams. It's a sensation, and then it gets a little bit terrifying for some people, and so it turns into this thing that he wants to break away from. But the outside world, while all this is going on, they look at this as sort of a virus going on. They're like, it's got to be a virus, like a connective mind virus, where people are thinking of this guy, they're dreaming of this guy. So they come up with a solution for it. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but the solution that they come up for it is a little too far out there, even for this movie. Like, a movie that's based around a guy visiting people in their dreams unbeknownst to himself is already a weird concept. And I feel like you could have closed this movie out a little better, a little cleaner, but they threw in this sci-fi element because they wanted to make one thing happen that was a callback to earlier in the movie. And yes, it's a very emotional thing that they did, and that emotional thing worked for me, but just the sci-fi element that they used is so unbelievable that this movie goes from a very grounded movie, almost an emotional movie about one man's story, one man's life story, and how fame can really mess you up, and they do it in a unique way. it goes from that to this sci-fi story, and it just kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. So it's a gripe, it's a negative that I have, it's a gripe that I have right now. Is it one that I'll have down the line? I'm not sure. Overall, I think that Nicolas Cage does a fantastic job in this movie. I think that if you're a Cage fan, you'll enjoy this movie. I also think that if you're a fan of just watching someone go on a very emotional journey throughout a movie, that you'll enjoy this. And so I would recommend this to just about everybody. I think that everybody could get something, a little bit of something from this movie. If you're a horror fan, there's horror elements. If you're a comedy fan, there's some very funny moments in it. But overall, it's just a great new story. And so if you're kind of burned out from sequels like I am, then I think you'll enjoy something new, something fresh in the theater. But those are just my opinions because that's my review for Dream Scenario. Guys, if you have seen Dream Scenario and you've got thoughts and you've got comments, throw that in the comment section down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me on my thoughts for Dream Scenario. Look, we don't have to have the exact same opinion, so I'd love to know what you thought of it. But with all that said, if you like this video and you want to watch more, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. All right, guys, we got to the end of the Dream Scenario review, and this was a really fun one for me. And I know I've only done 2 reviews for December so far, but I don't know, all the hype for Silent Night just kind of went out the window when I found out that, not a lot of people liked this. Said John Woo not giving in his best work, so I didn't go see that. And now I'm kind of on the fence with Poor Things because it's got a weird concept that I don't know if I'm really into. So I'm looking forward to Ferrari toward the end of the month. I'm looking forward to Iron Claw. Maybe go see Anyone But You and Rebel Moon. I heard it's dropping a day early, so I am looking forward to that too. I will try to do reviews for all of those, or at least some YouTube shorts if nothing else. But with all that said though, guys, if you like this review and you want to watch more of my reviews, well, I've got all of my 2022 reviews right there and all of my 2023 reviews right there.